Calm and foggy morning this morning. The best thing about this morning was I woke up, walked out the door to +6, so that's encouraging. Just moving some more bees with Stubby, just trying to poke away these yards every morning, trying to spread them out as the land dries. Slowly but surely it's drying. This yard is probably one of my wetter yards, and I just got out. It's a good thing I live on 4x4. So I'll clean that up. Once it dries, I'll bring the tractor and the blade and just smooth those down. Try to repair all my yards that I've destroyed this spring, just, so it doesn't haunt me for the rest of my beekeeping career. As I'm loading my hives up here, I have a few empty spots to fill. So this is when I'm starting to take advantage of the merger. I put those smaller type nukes on top of big units. They've merged. I've had the girls go around and queen check, so everything's queen checked. I think out of about 125 or so, we had one that got killed off, so that's pretty good. The nests are looking really good up on top, nice and viable, and cap brood, so they've established a nice little nest. Now that it's starting to warm, I'm going to start stripping these top units off and put in their own place. I didn't want to do that before when it was cold, just because they've organized their nest between the two boxes. The cluster is going between the two. And I take it apart, put it in a new spot, and that hive all of a sudden has all these dynamics that they're relying on the heat from underneath. The girth of bees, I've taken that away. Their nest is stretched right down to that bottom box. So I take that away, and it was cold, and they just can't maintain all that work that they've established with that big nest. So I have to make sure to do this when it's warm. And now we're starting to approach into warmth. Not to mention the bottom one, I take away the top. Although they're just getting a ceiling right over top of them anyway, so the bottom one would be fine. Just that top one. We just got to make sure that as we're working, that as we manipulate these colonies, that they can adjust to the conditions that we force them into. And I think now, a nighttime low of +6, and I'm looking ahead. We're looking into 20s for daytime highs. Yeah, I can only hope. But with this optimism moving forward, I think our manipulations, the stress we induce on the colonies with them, will become minimized. So I can see now it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5 frames of bees up top. So I'm simply going to just strip this box off the top here. Make them their own little unit again. Man, I wish I had my smoker going for that. It'd be a lot simpler with smoke, but don't have the smoker going, so. Because they did not like that. Box full of bees. Not quite as full. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 frames of bees. That'll work. Some of these bigger units underneath are stronger than others, so some give more than others. This unit chewed through more of the newspaper, just a larger unit. This one is much smaller, so just a little patch. Just let them do what they want to do. One of the reasons why I use smoke when I'm beekeeping is just to help keep these bees calm. I stripped these merger units off without smoke, and that really agitated that nest. And it's not good. Anytime that you can practice, anytime that you can manipulate a hive without, you know, disrupting them, you take the extra effort to do that. And one of those things is smoke. You'll notice sometimes I don't use as much smoke as I should, but then you'll notice that I use smoke a lot because I really lean on smoke to make sure that when I'm working these colonies that I can keep them calm. You know, that smoke that disrupts the whole alarm pheromone, and that disruption as you're working with them. Just a little bit of smoke, doesn't take much, just a little bit, just calms that nest, allows you to do what you want to do without getting them all stirred up. Especially when I'm stripping off these merger units out on top, I'm spending so much time trying to set up the right environment to have that unit, like the two queens and the bees inside, cooperate with each other. Then I go and just rip these off the top, throw them onto another bottom board, get both nests all riled up. Sometimes when that happens, those bees will turn on the queen. They just love to blame the queen for everything that goes on within that nest. So I'm hoping, because of my impatience here, because I didn't bring a smoker with me this morning, that this unit, it will just settle right down and just leave that queen alone. And then when I set them down, they'll just carry on action as if very little's happened. But there's a chance that those bees are balling that queen right now, just because of all that disruption I provided them, and I didn't do that extra step just to calm them, to ensure that my work wasn't really going to shake them up. And this is the proper way of doing it. See what we got here. Big hive, so I'm counting, they're kind of spread out, but I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They'll probably make themselves into a 7 or 8 frame, which is really nice. This hive still looks a little bit big, so we're going to have to come through and probably equalize from this colony yet, which is no big deal. What I could be doing is I could be equalizing between the top and bottom unit, so I could be pulling some brood from the bottom, bring them up top, just to equalize out the unit, so that when I strip off that box, then all the equalization work is done in here, and this box has already been equalized also. And then I could just simply strip it away later, but timeline's not working that way. I'm just going to have to go through, and all I'm doing is just stripping off the top boxes because they hold themselves with a nice little cluster now. Throw them into their place, and then we'll equalize later on when we come back through when the weather is warmer. Another good looking merger. feed more patties. There, as you can see, they're not as disrupted, they're not as disturbed. They're just kind of enduring what I'm doing here.